I think that if it's like under, I don't know like how like dosages work, but it's like if it's under a certain amount of like grams or ounces, then like they just take it from you. But I don't know. I think that's like, and like the first time you're caught, it's decriminalized or something. But yeah.
On campus, I think you get I don't know, I think it's like anywhere from like probation to a fine to like maybe some first offender program, and off campus I'm assuming it's decriminalized, so probably not much. Not on campus, and not in public, and not in vehicles.
Hello, my name is Orlando Simone, and I'm one of the staff attorneys at the Student Legal Services Office here at University of Michigan. Before I begin, I'd like to let you know that this is not, don't look at anything I say as intended to be legal advice specifically to you. If you have questions that relate to a case or legal concerns for yourself, then you should contact our office, 763-9920, and schedule an appointment. So I'm here to talk today a little bit about marijuana, and specifically how marijuana is construed legally in Michigan. You know, nationally, 26 states and the District of Columbia now have some form of marijuana legalization, or making it somehow legal for you to use marijuana in some capacity. 6 of those states in the District of Columbia have recently passed legislation allowing you to use marijuana recreationally in a legal form, so that would be a small amount. In Michigan, you can use marijuana under the Medical Marijuana Statute, or Medical Marijuana Act, and I'll speak a little bit about that in a minute. Besides that exception, we'll call it, in Michigan it is illegal still to use or possess marijuana. For general purposes, a small amount of marijuana, which is considered a controlled substance under Michigan law, and Michigan criminalizes controlled substances under various schedules. It's called a Schedule 1 drug or controlled substance. But marijuana, a small amount, would result in a misdemeanor charge, and that would be considered a 1-year misdemeanor, meaning you could have a maximum penalty of 1 year incarceration or being put in jail. Use of marijuana is considered a 90-day misdemeanor. There could be maximum fines with each of those. Anything beyond that, you're going to start to get into more serious crimes and probably put you into the felony level. And that would mean something like possession of a large amount, or possession with intent to deliver, meaning you're selling or buying, you know, significant amounts of marijuana. But recreational use is going to be limited to either use or possession. Some cities will have local ordinances, or municipalities. Ann Arbor is one of those, probably the best known in the state. It does have a local ordinance that goes back to the 1970s that makes it a civil infraction, meaning just a ticket. So you could get stopped on the street in Ann Arbor if you happen to have marijuana and you were using it, as an example. You could be fined with just a civil ticket. I believe it's still $25, and that would be it. However, state law would prevail and override that. So if you got stopped by a state police officer, you could be still faced with a state charge. So just because you can only get a civil ticket in Ann Arbor doesn't mean it would preclude you from getting a state charge. The Michigan campus. On the University of Michigan campus, which is considered state property because it's a public school, state charges apply, and the local ordinance doesn't. Which means that if you are in possession or you're using marijuana on the campus, you will be charged with at least the misdemeanor crime that I described above. If it's a first-time offense, you could be eligible for some kind of special deferment, which would entail some type of probation, most likely, going to court with the end object of trying to get it off your record, or getting the charge dismissed, and possibly a sealed record. But regardless, you're still going to have the charge, and you're still going to have some way to go to court and have to deal with it. Back to medical marijuana. If you do have a medical marijuana card, you have to have gone through the process. And by this I mean you would have a medical marijuana card in Michigan. Just because you might have a medical marijuana card from, say, California or Colorado, I'll pick a state where they will also have medical marijuana, it doesn't give you a license to use or possess the marijuana in Michigan. you would still have to go through that registry process. And the card only lets you use in certain circumstances. As an example, you can't use medical marijuana. You can't even possess it if you're in a school or on a bus. You also have certain prescriptions about where you can use it and where you can't, and you have to use it in accordance with those. So you could have a medical marijuana card and still get charged with a misdemeanor possession of marijuana if you didn't comply with the restrictions posted as part of the statute.